Last winter, when I was still mourning the 2024 US election, I'm still in mourning, but when I was first coming to terms with what our next 4 years would look like, how much harder they would be, sometimes my angst would get too angsty, and I would make a sign, and I would go stand on the road for a couple hours. I was working seasonally at a ski resort, and so I'd go while last chair traffic was letting out, standing before a procession of skiers and boarders stuck in bumper to bumper with nothing to do but read my cardboard. I had no illusions that I would accomplish something definitive. But, who knows? Maybe I make one passenger think a little harder about CEO pay packages, and an article on the Starbucks worker strike crosses their screen, and maybe today they actually read it. And maybe they learn something. And maybe a seed gets planted. What happens next? I don't know. How did I get to believing what I believe today? I'm sure it was dotted with little inconsistencies that made me challenge my beliefs. At the very least, it felt helpful for me. Because instead of quietly stewing alone, I got hunks. The next best thing to friendship. It feels good to show, hey, look at this evidence of real, normal human belief in your neighborhood. It was easy, low commitment. And yet, every time I did it, my heart would start pounding as I was getting the materials, and then harder as I was drawing the sign. I would start to feel a little ill. Unsettled stomach, jittery hands. I'd have to steady myself while filling in the E in "Let's fire Elon Musk directly into the sun." That one wasn't very informative. I was just mad. I know what I believe. I believe it's valuable to push the Overton window. I believe in demonstrating support for good ideas and opposition to harmful ones. But so then, why does my stomach hurt? At some point, while standing, solidly committed to what I was doing, that feeling would dissipate. But the next time, it would come back, and I'd wonder, why bother feeling like this? No one is making me do this. I can go home right now and feel the preferable, private discomfort of grieving the direction of the world I live in. This sign won't fix things. Probably won't do anything other than make me look silly in front of some strangers. Nobody would know or care if I gave in to the discomfort and went home. Some people would even prefer that. But I didn't, because I had a handy anchoring phrase already in mind. So when I realized what was happening in my body, the tightness in my chest, the jittery hands, I stopped and thought to myself, oh, I haven't been practicing my calisthenics. Because sometimes it isn't about the sign.
Stand with them and demand action now. Yes, we will stand with you, and we're bringing big tech into the fight. Yes!
I've already shown this clip in this series. I was speaking to a group of my former coworkers during a tech industry walkout for the youth-led global climate strike in 2019, demanding stronger climate commitments from our companies. The audio is trash because a news team flew a fucking helicopter over all the speeches.
Climate action is your job!
Thanks a lot, guys. Good journalisming. Amazon workers, Google, Microsoft, Meta workers coordinated to promote unified cross-industry action. It felt so great to participate in, and then COVID fucking killed it. COVID was the best thing to happen to the anti-labor movement, AMA. My role in this walkout was the culmination of years of personal activist development, starting with modest, small actions sanctioned by the company. Easy, not scary. And then small actions pushing against the company internally. Getting scarier. And then dozens of increasingly visible moments in company chat rooms and resource groups, slowly spilling out into the public sphere. Scary, very scary. Because these companies need to be held accountable, the planet and humankind are their primary stakeholders, and because we all are invested in what they do.
Everyone is impacted by the changes we make.
Suffice to say, I had over those years, built a very high tolerance for being visibly, publicly passionate in a way that could cost me something. My job, respect from coworkers who still trusted the internal process, my sense of easy, uncomplicated security in the workplace. So it felt significant last winter, a few short years later, that this person could get jittery over holding a poster board on the side of the road. What? But just like we need to exercise our bodies and upkeep our skills, we can get out of shape in our willingness to publicly dissent. Which makes sense. It's an inherently uncomfortable thing for most of us to do, and it doesn't do us any favors to pretend otherwise. James C. Scott, in the book 2 Cheers for Anarchism, hey look, it's that book again, details this tension, even in small, seemingly inconsequential moments. In describing an intersection in Germany,
again and again, 50 or 60 pedestrians waited patiently at the corner for the light to change. Peering in each direction from the intersection, one could see a mile or so of roadway, with, typically, no traffic at all. Twice, perhaps, did a pedestrian cross against the light, and then always to a chorus of scolding tongues and fingers wagging in disapproval. I, too, became part of the scene, afraid to brave the glares that awaited me if I crossed, thinking that it was stupid to obey a minor law that, in this case, was so contrary to reason. It surprised me how much I had to screw up my courage merely to cross a street against general disapproval, how little my rational convictions seemed to weigh against the pressure of their scolding.
It feels uncomfortable to do something that draws scorn from strangers. Most of us feel strong psychological pressure to not go against the grain. It is socially disadvantageous to garner negative attention. Like, I suspected that many people passing by me in the cars were thinking, or saying, "This girl is stupid. She doesn't know what's going on. God, stop injecting politics into everything." Or, "What a misguided person. She's not changing anything. What a waste of her own time." I didn't even know any of them, and that thought would still bother me. So, why do this today? Why do it at all? Better yet, why me do it? Someone else will do it. Well, here are 3 benefits to practicing your anarchist calisthenics. Reason number 1. You do it to build your resilience so that small acts of bravery or disobedience don't feel so uncomfortable in the moment. To acclimate, to teach your system that this is something we do. The jitters will never totally go away, but you can get better at doing in spite of them. In the last video, I mentioned placing your own stickers around town, or removing right-wing stickers when you see them. But have you thought about what it might feel like for someone to watch you do that? For a lot of us, uncomfortable. To stand there scraping a sticker off a stop sign, then a pedestrian passes by. What are they thinking? Can you tolerate the uncertainty? Do you pause what you're doing and wait for them to go? Do you imagine you'll come back later when the street is quieter? Will you? What if you're with a friend when you spot the sticker? Do you still pause and remove it? Do you worry they'll think of you differently? As a troublemaker? Or someone who will make things uncomfortable? Are you okay with, for a moment, being the political one? Especially if that's not a role that you're used to? The first sticker I ever removed was for InfoWars. It was the link to their new website after Alex Jones was banned from YouTube. A big gray sticker on a random crosswalk. It was in Seattle, a very progressive city, and still I felt so awkward, standing through multiple courses of the streetlight changing, scraping at that sticker until it fully came off, getting blank looks from passersby. Practice pushing past that discomfort. Don't treat the feeling as true. Understand where it came from, why it's there, the fact that you are human, a social creature, and that some things are maybe worth doing anyway. And that if you keep doing them, only if you keep doing them, it will become easier to be in public the person you are in your own mind. Why we practice our anarchist calisthenics. Reason number 2. You do it to build your chops to be ready to do something bigger later, when the opportunity arises, when someone needs you. Because one day, it won't be holding a sign on the side of the road, and that moment will take you by surprise.
One day, you will be called on to break a big law in the name of justice and rationality. Everything will depend on it. How are you going to prepare for that day when it really matters? You have to stay in shape. Use your own head to judge whether a law is just or reasonable. That way, you'll keep trim. And when the big day comes, you'll be ready.
I don't only focus on laws when I think about anarchist calisthenics, because it's not just laws, it's social norms, it's perceived codes of conduct. It's the pressure to keep the peace, to not ruffle feathers. It's the bystander effect. It will be refusing when your boss tries to slip a policy by you that violates labor laws, just a little, just this once, hoping that you won't notice. It will be reacting when you see a man following a woman down the street late at night, shouting. This happened near me last month. I changed my direction and I walked calmly behind them at a distance until she got to her car. The guy noticed me and said something like, "What are you looking at?" And so I said calmly, "I'm just walking down the street." And he left me alone. Where James C. Scott says every day or so break some trivial law, I say, when you notice the opportunity, take some small action that inconveniences you, but brings you closer to living in alignment with your values and making your community safe. And I'm mostly talking to other middle-class, cis white people. A lot of people in this country do not need it explained to them that sometimes you gotta go against the grain to exist, or survive, or have nice things. Like rights. I'm not gonna pretend that these things aren't risky, and I trust you to evaluate your own risk profile. Assholes will react very differently depending on who they perceive you to be and the type of asshole they are. And also, yes, sometimes it literally is being willing to break unjust laws.
Everybody knows that. It's the law in the Bible.
Urban gardeners in places like New York City have, for decades, been breaking property laws by transforming empty lots into community gardens, or by throwing seed bombs into unkempt dirt plots.
They had no legal access to spaces, but made it a mission to regreen unloved parts of the city. They started to call themselves the Green Guerrillas.
What are we supposed to do? Be okay with wasted, vacant space? Owned by people who aren't paying attention, don't care, and don't even live here? Why is that what's right? Spoiler, it's not. In multiple cities, there have been laws that restricted feeding groups of people in public. Clear attempts to restrict charitably feeding unhoused people, like nobody's cracking down on birthday parties or potlucks. And activists have been arrested for violating those laws. Not only is it kind to share resources with your community, it is good to create that schism in the minds of the people around you, to expose that a law is unjust, to demonstrate that community stewardship should not be outsourced, even within a so-called representative democracy. And need I remind you that it was illegal for Nelson Mandela to organize against apartheid in South Africa? New laws were constructed to ban his organization specifically. He was barred from attending political meetings years before he was arrested. It wasn't just brave, it was illegal for Rosa Parks to refuse to vacate her seat. Desegregationist lunch counter sit-ins were illegal. Protesters were arrested and charged with criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, breach of the peace, and violating segregation ordinances. The initial votes cast in protest by the suffragettes were illegal. Susan B. Anthony was convicted of being a woman and wanting a say in the country she lived in. The Salt March was conducted in protest of a law against Indians producing their own salt. Get in, guys! Off we go to do harmlessly illegal stuff together. This illegality is often the key ingredient in what is called a dilemma action. You give the opposition two choices, both bad. If they don't enforce the law, they weaken their own authority. If they do enforce it, they arrest people for making salt. They chose the latter, and it made them look internationally and domestically fucking ridiculous. The point is, looking back from the future, where we can see all these activists were correct, sometimes it gets glossed over that these were all actions taken in explicit defiance of specific, unjust, written and enforced laws. As kids, we're taught that breaking the law is bad.
I'm against crime, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
And we're also taught, correctly, that we have the societal gains we have today because all these people broke the law together. Hooray! Whew, I'm getting worked up. Someone quote the Garrett Bucks article. We need a segue.
Yeah, I can do that. I wrote this for people who, like me, have spent much of the past few weeks hoping that somebody else would do something bolder in this political movement. We are full of rage and heartbreak. We have wished, appropriately, for bravery from our media, from elected Democrats, from public officials in general. But do not miss the opportunity to be the lonely voice for justice in our own community. The person who makes it a little easier for a second and third and fourth lonely voice to start perking up by our side. To be the first person in your circle welcoming fellow travelers into halting, shaky, earnest action.
Here's why we practice our anarchist calisthenics. Reason number 3. We become part of the culture of dissent and questioning. We cultivate fertile ground for others to notice. Oh, that's something people could do. That's something I could do. Think of who you are right now. Right now, are you one of the people at the intersection who crosses the street? Are you one of the people who waits? And if you are you one of the people who wags their finger? I imagine not. You're watching this video. But how does your presence contribute to the overall ability of others to dissent? It's so much harder to take a stand, to speak out, to act up when you feel the weight of public disapproval or public indifference sitting on your shoulders. That's why a honk is such a casually kind gesture. It says, I'm happy you're here. I see you. And for this fraction of a second, you're not alone. So work yourself up to giving signs of support in the moment. And then stand next to them. And then, someday, when no one else is standing up, stand alone. And inspire others to stand beside you. Resist the pounding of your heart, the turning of your stomach, the pressure in your forehead. You've trained for this. This is what the calisthenics were for. It's 2026. Masked agents of the state are still in our streets, disappearing our neighbors. When they come to your door, asking you to turn on your community, will you be ready to say no? What does it mean to break the law when law means nothing, protects no one, is ignored by government? What does it mean to respect the law when legal activity is met with violence?
Look, the bottom line is we make the rules as we go, and you have to guess what they are.
Will you sign up for a rapid response network? Will you get yourself a whistle and will you blow it? Will you be ready to turn on your camera and stay for as long as you're needed? Are you ready to shelter someone vulnerable, someone you don't know?
Tell everybody come in here to be safe. Come in here, be safe. Please be safe.
I hope you are, because we need you too. 2026 is the year of standing on business.
I don't care who you are.
And we will run at you the fastest we can.
Eyes in the eyes of the champion.
What we've seen here is the organization of some of the groups. The groups are a bit better organized. They've got some excellent communications.
As the future unfolds, as lying remains the standard mode for our government, as voices continue to be suppressed, it becomes increasingly important to be the documentarians of reality, the enforcers of morality. Don't keep walking. Get your camera out. Start filming. Join your neighbors outside. It's 2026. It's time to become the person in public that you are in your own mind.